Do you know what is underrated? Eggs. You can boil them, you can fry them, you can poach them, you can eat them raw. They even come in their own unique packaging, which is very solid and sturdy, keeps everything in there. Probably not the most reliable when you're trying to crack it into the pan and it goes all over the place. It also gives a bit of a glossy finish when it's been in my hands for a minute, sweating. Also smells like a chicken's bum hole. But what I'm trying to say is that eggs are great. People love rotisserie chickens, people bang on about steak, but eggs are fantastic. And you know what's also underrated? Rita at Alton Towers. Rita is like an egg, smells like a chicken's bumhole. And Rita is also the secret weapon, which is not a secret weapon, it is that secret. And this is why people don't seem to like Rita, because it just doesn't belong at Alton Towers. But I'm telling you now, Rita packs just as much ammunition as any other secret weapon out there. It's got a fantastic launch. Honestly, one of the best launches I've ever experienced. And honestly, that initial acceleration, I can't really tell the difference between Rita and Stealth, if I'm honest. I just think Rita is really underappreciated for the launch. Not only that, I think Rita is extremely intense. In fact, so intense on that second bank turn, on multiple occasions, I have seen stars. And along with those forces, you got some really nice pops of airtime. Not loads of airtime, but it's definitely there. And it's just a nice, short, sweet ride. Like Stealth, which everyone keeps banging on about as being one of the best coasters in the UK. You know what I think is overrated, in my opinion? Cheetah Hunt at Busch Gardens, Tampa. Now, Cheetah Hunt is probably the polar opposite to Rita. It's got multiple launches, it's got a very long layout. Probably got a bit more of an adventurous layout per se, but I just don't think it has any bite at all. Like, the launches are really tame. The whole middle section of Cheetah Hunt it just does nothing for me. Like, I just kind of feel like it's just meandering around with no real purpose to any of it. The S-bend section, yeah, it's pretty cool. That barrel roll is just terrible. Just why is it there? I'd probably say the best part, in my opinion, is the launch into that airtime hill towards the end, but even then I'm just not wowed by it whatsoever. It's just a waste of a really long layout. And what also bugs me is that every Intamin Blitz after Cheetah Hunt is just far superior. I mean, come on. Compare Taron to Cheetah Hunt, there's just no competition. Now, this one isn't particularly underrated. I'd say it's more like no one really cares about it. No one's in a rush to get on this ride, which really bothers me because it's so good. And that is Hypercoaster at Land of Legends in Turkey. Now, I you not, this coaster is one of the best first drops on any roller coaster I've ever been on. Think the big one, but instead of going that way 90 degrees, that way you go 180 degrees back on yourself. You get so much airtime, you get whipped down that drop. You've also got one of the world's tallest vertical loops. It's absolutely massive, and the hang time and forces you get through it are really good. The airtime again is incredible. It's got phenomenal pacing. It's super smooth. It's just a really great coaster, and I'm quite sad that no one really talks about it. Yet people just keep banging on about Hyperion at Energylandia. Look, I can totally see why people like it, but for me, I just didn't enjoy it at all. I found it brutally rough in the wrong seats, and I don't say that lightly. My tolerance for coasters is quite fairly high. Like, I'd consider like the Smiler smooth, but Hyperion just wanted to kill me. The thing that bugs me about Hyperion, it just feels like it lacks any personality, if that makes sense. Like, it's huge, you got a huge drop, yeah. Well, the rest of the coaster, in my opinion, is just incredibly forgettable. And I don't think the airtime is particularly that great after the first half. The second half just literally does nothing for me. And I must admit, Zadra is in a completely other league, in my opinion. Zadra is way better. Now, this coaster, in my opinion, is probably one of the most overshadowed roller coasters in the UK, and that is Speed No Limits at Oakwood. I feel like when people talk about Oakwood, everyone talks about Megaphobia. No one really mentions speed. but speed is really good. This thing is so intense. In my opinion, out of all the Eurofighters I've ever been on, speed is by far the most intense. The first ejector hill seriously feels like it's going to rip my head out of my neck. That loop, it's like a perfectly rounded loop and it's huge. So you get so many forces you go through there. There's a helix of death, I'd like to call it. It's technically like a double helix and it is stupidly intense as well. Speed is great and I'm shocked that, you know, it's so underrated within the UK. Oh boy, this is going to get controversial. But I think Flying Aces at Ferrari World Abu Dhabi is overrated. I'm just shocked that people who have been on both Skyrush and Flying Aces say Flying Aces is the better coaster. There's a lot of people who've said that, but I really can't see how. It starts off ridiculously strong. You got this 20 miles an hour lifter, you're not flying up there. You got a steep 200-foot drop, twisted. You get lots of airtime, tons of force at the bottom, and you got this massive non-inverting loop, which is really cool. Like the whole coaster starts off ridiculously strong and then dies instantaneously. Like I can't recall anything remotely interested about this coaster after the non-inverting loop. I really enjoyed it on my first ride, but I think it was because of how good that first opening segment was that I didn't really care about everything else. But putting the whole coaster into perspective, I just don't think Flying Aces is that great of a coaster overall. Another UAE roller coaster, which I do actually think is underrated, is the Hunger Games Capital Bullet Train in Motion Gate Dubai. Now honestly, if you look at videos of this and POVs, it really doesn't look like much. It's short but sweet, but so re-rideable. Like it's just a fun coaster. There's some really good airtime moments, so many forces, like really intense moments. And if I'm honest, the layout isn't exactly exciting, but it's just genuinely good fun. And when I ride coasters, that's one of the main things I look for in a coaster is if it's fun. You could have a fantastic layout, but if it isn't fun, then I just feel like it's failed to do its job. Capital Bullet Train is fun. That means Capital Bullet Train is good. Right, so now I've shared some of my overrated and underrated roller coasters, I'm going to go over to Twitter and check out some of your underrated and overrated roller coaster choices. Harry Pagel, underrated. Wickerman, I think it has the best theme and best effort put into a theme. Also the ride experience is amazing and it has the perfect amount of roughness for a woodie. Perfect amount of roughness. I've never seen roughness as particularly a pro on any coaster. I mean, wooden coasters are generally known to be quite rickety. I don't mind ricketiness on wooden coasters. And Wickerman is fine. I've had a couple of rides where it has really rattled me about, but it's never bothered me that much. Overrated, the big one at Blackpool. As much as it's a classic Arrow, it's mediocre layout. See, does anyone really rate the big one that much? Yeah, the first drop is fantastic, and to be honest, that's why I love the big one so much. It's just that first drop, the view, the fact that it is a classic Arrow, it kind of adds points up in my books. I don't see it as overrated. I probably see it as just there, like in between underrated and overrated, so just right. Andrew, underrated. Storm Runner at Hershey Park. Best layout and an accelerator, great airtime and funky inversions. Storm Runner looks wicked. That's a good point. Everyone talks about accelerator, but I never hear many people talk about Storm Runner, and in my opinion, Storm Runner looks like it has that better layout with the what's that weird inversion? It's like Sea Serpent Dive or something like that. Overrated. Magnum XL200 at Cedar Point. Uncomfortable to both sit and ride, and the ride has flow to airtime at best. Quite a shame as it looks nice and has history. Again, this is like similar to the big one for me. I've never done Magnum, but I reckon the history kind of holds it up in that higher regard. But yeah, I know a lot of people do bang on about Magnum. Theme Park Nomads, big shout out. Underrated. Joris Ender Drak at Hefteling. If you ride it after it's warmed up on the back row, it's an insane GCI, the racing interaction. I haven't done it, but I do like GCIs. The smaller GCIs I've been on are fantastic. What's the one in Fun Spot in Orlando now? White Lightning. I really like that. I feel like it's really nippy. Overrated. Black Mamba at Phantasialand. Ooh. It's like they saw Nemesis and thought, we want that, but re-themed. It's not bad, just didn't blow me away. See, I think Black Mamba is genuinely better than Nemesis. That might shock a few people, but I've really enjoyed Black Mamba. I feel like the dense theming on it is insane and it's very intense. And the last few helixes at the end are just so forceful. I did really like that. Scotty D, Davis Express, big shout out, mate. Overrated, Twisted Colossus. I feel like you're going to upset a few people with that one. I haven't been on it. Hopefully get on it at some point this year. But I do like a good RMC. I've only done Zadra, of course, but I've just got the feel for the RMCs and I like what they do. Nice. Underrated, Ghost Rider. So this is the GCI at Knott's Berry Farm. I believe it was actually built by someone else originally and GCI retracked it. That looks insane. Like, it looks really good. Like, I watched some of the videos of it and it looks so quick, so much pacing, lots of airtime on it. That looks awesome, man. Sibby Vlogs. Underrated has to be Speed at Oakwood. It's an awesome coaster with a great airtime hill and a fun layout. 100% agree. Overrated is Rita. After the launch, it's one trick. It's a figure of 8 and an unnecessary long brake run, making a third of the layout. Like I said earlier, I don't think Rita is rated highly though, so I don't know if you can call it overrated. But I definitely think, regardless of the layout, it has that fun factor, like I said with Capital Bullet Train. And because it's fun, I feel like it does the job. Many thanks for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to share your overrated and underrated roller coasters, drop a comment below. We'll check them out. Again, this video isn't intended to upset anyone. It's all personal opinions. Please don't get offended by our opinions. It's fine. And also, in other news, this may be the last video I will film in this living room, in this house, because we are very soon, in the next few weeks, moving house, which means there'll be more videos because I'll have my own space. I'm going to have my own office, call it the ScrewyLoops HQ, as you do. And I'll keep you updated with that. I'll show you what the HQ looks like. I don't know, I might do a video on it, who knows. But anyways, if you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, smash subscribe for more content like this, and give the bell a flick to keep all up to date. Videos on the left, merchandise on the right. Make sure to hit this button for the ride of your lives. You've been watching ScrewyLoops. Try a bit.